Are you a movie buff? Do you love dissecting and analyzing your favorite films? Look no further than the Projection Booth podcast. Join host Mike White and a bevy of guest experts as they explore the history, themes, and legacy of cult classics, obscure gems, and mainstream hits. Join us every week for a unique and engaging look at your favorite movies. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and tune in to the Projection Booth podcast, available on all major podcast platforms.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, creeps. It's me, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and you're listening to Chronicles from the Crypt.
Hello there, I'm Casualty Chris.
And this is Father Malone.
And we are the hosts of Chronicles from the Crypt, a twice-a-month look at the cult horror anthology series Tales from the Crypt that originally aired on HBO from 1989 to 1996.
Now, in each of these podcasts, we're going to be examining 2 episodes of the television series, and along the way, we're going to have some bonus episodes where we examine some other tangentially related tales ephemera, like a cartoon series and a game show, and some of the movies also that were based upon Tales from the Crypt.
If you're just joining us, we've already covered in the entirety of Season 1. We're heading into the home stretch of Season 2 with Episode 13 and 14, Korman's Kalamity and Lower Berth. And in between Season 1 and Season 2, we actually covered the 1972 Amicus Tales from the Crypt film, which, if you've never seen it, you should watch it and then listen to the episode on our thoughts, because it's really, really good. However,
absolutely.
Same can't be said for the 2 episodes we're going to be talking about on this episode, Korman's Kalamity and Lower Berth.
Yeah, man, we've had some dogs this season, and they're barking right now with these 2.
Oh, hi there, fright fiends. How do you like my rancid rendering? Not bad for an amateur. Hopefully it'll give you an inkling of what tonight's fungusy photoplay is about. Because long before my eerie offerings appeared on your silver screen, they were a magazine called, get a load of this, Tales from the Crypt. So tonight, let's take a behind-the-screams look at a struggling artist named Jim Korman, who one day got a little too drawn into his work.
Korman's Kalamity, the episode aired June 26, 1990, directed by Rowdy Harrington, written by Terry Black, stars Harry Anderson, Cynthia Gibb, and Colleen Camp. The episode focuses on Harry Anderson as an illustrator for, wouldn't you guess it, Tales from the Crypt, who seems to all of a sudden have the power to make his drawings reality due to the slow sperm count drugs that he's taking. And a cop played by Cynthia Gibb is investigating the monsters that are coming to life from his illustrations. This is a bad episode.
Yeah, it's not good. And let's start right at the top with the writer, Terry Black. He is awful. He wrote Dig That Cat, He's Real Gone, but I don't think he actually brought anything to that script. He just sort of retyped it from the comic book, and any sort of fun to be had in that particular episode was from the direction and from those actors. And I think like left to his own devices, he's even worse. Because let me point out. Okay, so Korman's Calamity was originally published in Tales from the Crypt. This is an actual Tales from the Crypt story they adapted here. That was in issue number 31. It was written by Al Feldstein, and it was drawn by Jack Kamen. And the original title was Kamen's Calamity. It was completely set at the offices of Tales from the Crypt. So this is like metatextual before there was such a thing, where they're luring Jack Kamen to join them at their comic book shop. And at the time, Tales from the Crypt was not yet a title. EC Comics originally started with sort of adventure stories and more often than not romantic stories, like true romance kind of stories. And so they lured Jack Kamen there because he draws girls so well. And then sort of halfway through his tenure, they switched to horror titles, and it's about trying to convince him to come over and start doing those as well. We often talk about how they should stray as far as they can from the original source material to make it better. And they definitely did that here, but much to the detriment of the episode. I'm not even sure why they changed it to Korman, like Korman's Calamity. They have characters that are clearly Al Feldstein and Bill Gaines, the publisher and like head writer of the series, but they've renamed them as well. And then they've given this entire crazy subplot with the sort of shrewish wife played by Colleen Camp, who, by the way, is terrible in this episode. Am I wrong, or was she just going for an entire other form of acting that she thought everyone else was going to be doing?
No, this episode with Colleen Camp's performance is real bad. Colleen Camp's performance in this episode is everything that it is supposed to be in the worst way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I totally get that.
She's obnoxious and grating and a total bitch, and that's the point, but it's almost to the point of caricature. Which, I mean, look, it's fucking Tales from the Crypt, so I shouldn't really be complaining, but it draws almost all of the entertainment value out of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you go back and watch the movie Creep Show, directed by George Romero, written by Stephen King, there's a segment in there called The Crate, where they have a similar character, this sort of castrating shrew of a wife, played by Adrienne Barbeau. And she comes off as absolutely vile and detestable, but she never goes into camp, no pun intended with Colleen Camp here, but there's a way to pull off that performance and have it be real. And clearly Colleen Camp just thought like, oh, comic book, I'll just go way over the fucking top. And man, she sure did. But she's not the worst thing in the episode, and that's saying something.
No, the worst thing in this episode is the entire episode. It's the effects are really bad, which is astounding considering that Tom Woodruff Jr. worked on the effects for this episode.
Well, I did like the one zombie that came out of the refrigerator. I thought that was pretty good looking.
The monster that attacks Richard Schiff sure isn't.
No.
Well, that's the thing, like, he's drawing for Tales from the Crypt, yet the monsters he's drawing for Tales from the Crypt look like they deserve to be in, like, a children's coloring book. They're, like,
that's
so
true.
cartoony, and they're so cartoony and over the top that it doesn't really mesh with the rest of the episode's tone.
Yeah, I hadn't really considered that, but yeah, I mean, what the other interesting thing is that this cop, Cynthia Gibbs' character, is investigating them because his drawings are very similar to odd events that have been happening all through Los Angeles, including like a dinosaur in somebody's car and whatever. All of the monsters that she's investigating seem like they would have been more interesting to see than the ones that were actually given. But maybe budgetary reasons they kept them from doing that?
I mean, that must be the case because they wouldn't go with the ones that they did without good reason. And it's real bad. It's so strange to me because we finally have an episode that is supernatural. And it's also,
right,
like you said,
from the get-go.
Yeah, it's also pretty meta. And like you would think that Tales from the Crypt would have like a really fun way of approaching it. And it ends up just being really tonally all over the place. I mean, you have a scene where Cynthia Gibb is about to be raped by Richard Schiff.
Yeah, that was so off-putting in the middle of this for no good reason. I mean, look, he gets his comeuppance, I guess, but it's one of many muddle-headed steps that the script takes. And, like I said, I appreciate when they try and go for something different. Like in the original comic, it's just, he's resistant to do this. And then he sort of goes home and he's writing about a werewolf story. And he becomes the werewolf and he goes out and he murders a woman and everything. And then he wakes up and he realizes it was just a dream. And that's sort of the end of it. So the idea of an artist drawing something and it coming to life is fertile, but not with what they did here. It's just the same old story of, I'm married to this shrew and now here's this new possible love and I got to get rid of her. And I don't know, man, just dreadful.
Well, and what happens if Cynthia Gibb starts becoming a pain in the ass to Korman? Is he just going to draw her out of his life too?
Yeah, he's gonna draw her being attacked by a vampire or something. I don't know.
Drawn out of his life by the monstrous version of her, which is what he did to his wife.
Yeah,
it's such a weird scene. They're walking out of the Tales from the Crypt office as his wife is being murdered, and he's like, "Let's go get dinner." It's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, man.
Are you
exactly.
married? He's like, not anymore. Oh dear God.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I don't.
strange.
I know it feels like it was written in the 70s or something, like some sitcom, or
Even the music.
Don't know. Yeah, it's not that enjoyable, this particular episode.
No, this episode is just, it feels like an interesting idea that just doesn't have the execution down because the people who wrote it aren't great at writing.
No, and there was a lot to be mined from just the offices of EC Comics. It could have been a really interesting period piece, and in the original comic, all of the writers and artists make appearances and they're sort of commenting on them and stuff, and maybe people in 1990 who had never known the histories of any of those guys wouldn't care, but then again, they can kind of do whatever they want here, and having a layer of sort of historical value would have been made the episode sort of stand the test of time, and yet they just chose the same old, I got to get rid of this bag of a wife. She never stops nagging me. Let's get her killed and off I go. It's just I don't know. Queasy.
And the other thing about this episode that's a little strange is it's so comedic. It's so funny. It's such a quote unquote funny episode that doesn't even have there's no comeuppance. Korman doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, what? Yeah, exactly. The wife gets the comeuppance, and what is she railing against other than him not doing his job and making money and cheating on her with this cop? Yep, she deserves to die.
Yeah, it's a real bad episode. So for me, this is a skip.
Skip it hard.
Yeah, big time skip. Not a great episode. And that's unfortunate because, again, it was an interesting idea. It just doesn't really go anywhere. So let's talk about the next episode, Lower Berth.
Shh. There. Isn't he just so cute that you wanna? Whoops. Crypt Keeper here, kiddies. And speaking of kiddies, tonight's sickening saga should be subtitled A Tale from the Crib. Yes, dear fans, I've got a real nursery crime for you this time. It's all about the humble beginnings of my favorite horror hero. So call the babysitter and break out the bath bags as I narrate a nauseating novella with a very special place in my heart. I affectionately call this one Lower Berth.
Episode aired July 3rd, 1990, directed by Kevin Yeager, written by... Oh, jeez. Every time his name comes up, it just makes me sad.
It's going to be Fred Dekker, right?
Fred Dekker. Stars Louis Arquette, Stefan Girash, and Mark Ralston, along with Jeff Yeager as a two-faced man named Enoch, who falls in love with a 2,000-year-old mummy, which ends up getting impregnated by two-faced Enoch, which then ends up becoming the Crypt Keeper. So this is a Crypt Keeper. So this is a perfect double feature. The first episode, Korman's Calamity, is about Tales from the Crypt. The second episode is the origin story for the Crypt Keeper, the story you never knew you didn't need and still don't need.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, we maybe didn't need it. I remember reading this particular comic as a kid and loving it, just for the idea that they went ahead and gave us an origin for the Crypt Keeper. I'll point out this is another Tales from the Crypt. This could only be a Tales from the Crypt. This was issue number 33. It was written by Al Feldstein and drawn by the enormous talent of Jack Davis. This is one of those episodes where they follow it pretty closely from the original comic. However, the execution here is awful. Like in the original comic, Enoch, the two-headed character, is literally a two-headed character, and he's not alive. He's actually floating in this giant tank of like formaldehyde, and it's about this unrequited love where he somehow comes to life and the mummy somehow comes to life, and they've been staring at each other across this sideshow tent forever. And then one night they just sort of come to life. Not what they did here. They decided instead to do a not really a two-headed guy, just like a mutant with like two faces, kind of like a Siamese thing gone wrong. And I don't know, man. I mean, I like that they went for it to tell this particular story, but at the same time, the execution is so poor. Kevin Yeager is a good effects guy. He is not a good director. And, a little less said about Fred Decker and his involvement with the series, the better.
Steve Winwood's isn't it Steve Winwood's music video where the two mummies are in love? You know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I actually don't. Not in this case.
Oh my God. What the hell is that song? Oh, God. That's what whenever I watch this episode, that's what I think of. I think it's Steve Winwood, where it's like two mummies are in love or something. And when I watch this episode, I'm just like, this is just like a serious, straight-faced version of that. It's like, it's such a dumb idea, and it's so poorly executed. Like, it's a dumb idea that could totally work, because how else, why does a Crypt Keeper look like that? But it's just so poorly executed that I just don't, I don't understand what they were going for, because it doesn't even seem like there's anyone to root for. The character of Enoch is given like one actual scene, and then the rest of the time it's Stefan Girosh, who just doesn't, it's not great. He doesn't do much.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is an episode that, they could have gone anywhere they wanted with it. And instead we got the same old tired tale of the Carney folk, whereas there's interesting stories to be told from them. And I don't know, like what angle Decker was coming from with this, but it wasn't very interesting. We should point out that Louis Arquette, however, is really good as the Carnival Barker. Like, I liked him a lot, but then I just like Louis Arquette in general.
So, excuse me, I was wrong. It wasn't Steve Winwood. It was Howard Jones, and the song was Everlasting Love.
I'll have to reacquaint myself with that.
But it's that same thing where it's like two mummies are in love. It's like the same thing where it's like, okay, so there's the mortal and da-da-da-da-da-da, whatever, fine. But you're right, 100%, Louis Arquette is fantastic in this episode. But when is he not fantastic?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, he was not going to be bad in it. Like, he's really interesting and fun. It's just all the human characters that, this detestable guy who is Enoch's, trainer or caretaker who just sort of beats him, and obviously he gets his comeuppance, and then this new guy, I don't know. There was something sort of simple and wonderful in the comic, which is why this is such a miss. This idea of these two characters sort of like, staring at each other across the tent forever, and this unrequited love, and then, for some reason, they're both given this spark of life so that they can come together. I think there's something poetic and beautiful that could have been mined out of this. But this is not the story. Like, I don't know. This one was particularly galling to me because I had read the comic before I saw it. So when I saw the title come up, I was like, oh my God, they're going to do this story. And it was just like, oh, this is what they've done with it. No.
And what else is really disappointing is that it has Mark Rolston in it, and Mark Rolston's great.
Yeah.
Like, I like Mark Rolston a lot. but not given anything to do.
No, certainly not. Like, I don't know what they were doing this season. Like, I don't know. I mean, A for effort, I guess. But Enoch does not look great. The Mummy itself is just okay. What's funny is that in the original comic, like I said, Jack Davis drew it, and he was another one who could draw girls really well, and like she was sort of voluptuous and alluring in a decayed kind of way, and they don't even really do that here.
No, here it's just a woman in makeup.
Yeah, and like she doesn't really even come to life. Enoch just breaks his bonds and then like absconds with the corpse. Like there's no magic to the episode. Like like not literally or figuratively. It's just him running off and then somehow like they have a child. Like. I don't know. There's no spark of like wonder that could have been in the episode, and that's a weird thing to say about a two-headed creature fucking a corpse. But you can do that. Like we're ready as an audience to go with you wherever you want to take us, and there's something that could have been played out with this, and instead they just gave us garbage.
Well, and again, it is kind of a disappointment that both of the episodes that are kind of meta. I mean, Lower Berth's not so much meta as like a origin story, but still, it's involving something that we see every week. The Crypt Keeper and then Korman's Calamity talking directly about Tales from the Crypt. They're both just nothing. They're not much of anything.
Yeah, it's like they just sort of settle for the idea that like, oh, we're going to be making a comment on the thing that you're watching. And that'll be enough. And I think that, look, that's been a problem in humor for the past 20 years where it's just like, well, if we make the reference, that's the joke. Like, no, you actually have to be funny. Just mentioning the Knight Rider is not a good enough joke in something.
And I don't know. I guess I put the blame for this episode on Fred Decker because Kevin Yeager is a good special effects artist, director.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, director wise, this,
it was serviceable.
Yeah, this and Strung Along are the two episodes of Tales from the Crypt he directed, and he directed Hellraiser Bloodline. So,
ooh, that was good.
But it was yeah, okay. I don't know if you're being serious or not.
No, I'm not. No, that was terrible.
Yeah, but he's credited in that one as Alan Smithy, so...
Well, there you go. That, like, that movie, at least, like, they were at least reaching for something with multiple timelines and stuff. If you told me it was his first effort as a director, then I could forgive some of the... Right. And so, and in that way, like, I'm not laying all the blame on him. It seems like maybe he was spending too much time one way or the other, and then everything kind of suffered, because Enoch does not look great to me. It's a better idea than in the execution. So, I don't know. It looks okay. I think the production design is good, but like, in everything, I always point out, like, the way you light something can betray, your intent. And in this case, it kind of looked more like sets to me. Because if you compare it to something like Dig That Cat, He's Real Gone, which also takes place at a carnival, that looks like you're at a carnival. This one just felt like you're on a soundstage with some tents thrown up.
And I think there's at least one more Carnival episode, the one with Ernie Hudson, where he's like a mind reader.
I do not remember that one.
That one's pretty great, where he starts like reading the mind of the monkey at the end of the episode.
Oh my. I'm now very much looking forward to it. That's
a great episode. It's completely insane, but at least this episode just doesn't have a payoff or a character to root for or anything.
Yeah, I mean, they figure that, you're just going to be so shocked that we've just discovered that this is how the Crypt Keeper was born, that'll paper over the troubling sort of lack of real plot or anything. They could have made it completely plotless.
Yeah, they should have made it plotless, because the fact that it's the Crypt Keeper's origin story doesn't do much in the long run for the episode.
Yeah, I mean, you could have made this some weird little tone poem. You could have had it completely silent, like just these characters in the periphery, and we're watching these exhibits being shuffled from town to town. Like, there could have been something very interesting there. But, I don't know. They just didn't trust it to be that way. And, and honestly, like, I wouldn't have trusted Kevin Yeager to pull that particular kind of story off.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I'm going to say skip this one as well.
Would I say skip it entirely? Probably, yeah. I mean, not as hard as I would Korman's Calamity. That one is worthless. But I don't know. I mean, maybe as a curiosity, maybe a soft watch. I don't know that it's a hard skip, more of a soft watch. I'll say soft watch this one. How about that? If you like carnivals, you get some carnival stuff, and you get the Crypt Keeper baby at the end is kind of cool.
It's something. It's really something. It's a special thing for us all. Oh, man. So on the next episode of Chronicles from the Crypt, we're going to be talking about episode 13 and 14 of season 2, Mute Witness to Murder and Television Terror. And I can tell you, those 2 episodes is amazing.
It's Television Terror. I'm so excited.
You're not supposed to bury the lead like that.
No. Everyone tune in for this next episode because Television Terror is worth the trip.
Yeah. Morton Downey Jr. is...
Who'd have thunk it, man? Yeah, he's real good in it.
Yeah.
Good episode. Scared the shit out of me when I was 17. Watched it for the first time.
So when we're not talking Tales from the Crypt, where can people find you, Father?
You can also find me on a podcast called Dreams for Sale, the Twilight Zone 85 podcast, where we re-examine the television, not so much a phenomenon. I don't know how well it did at the time, but certainly an amazing reinterpretation of the original Twilight Zone TV series, featuring some of the best writers of the 1980s. You can also find me on my YouTube channel, which is Odd5 Films. I do a show called You've Never Seen, where I take a look at movies that have either fallen by the wayside in their popularity or not much remembered, or movies that never really got their due to begin with.
And you can find me over at the Culture Cast, where my co-host Eric and I talk about movies twice a week, so you should check that out. I also do a Kolchak the Night Stalker podcast with a buddy of mine. That's over at kolchaktapes.com. You want to follow Chronicles from the Crypt on Twitter? That's at ChroniclesFTC. We're also on the internet at chroniclesftc.com, where you can find the backlog of our episodes. We're almost at the end of season 2, so we've been doing this for a while now. So if you want to check those out, that's where you should go. Big thanks as always to John Kassir for the awesome intro, and we'll catch you on the next episode.